My grandpa used to say, if you want something done right, do it yourself. I'm Kathy from Cooking Good, and we won't leave what our chickens eat up to some feed salesman. We do it ourselves. Our feed is rich with golden corn and soy meal. After all, the better we feed our chickens, the better they'll feed you. If your store doesn't carry Cooking Good, ask for it.
Cooking Good, the chicken with the good last name.
Spandau Ballet, tonight at 12:30.
This is the 5 o'clock Eyewitness News with Tom Snyder, Katie Tong, plus Katie Kelly, Ira Joe Fisher, and the Eyewitness News team.
Well, thank you very much, Gil Hodges, and here's what's happening now on Friday, January 6, 1984. We have more trouble to report with New York City's Grumman buses. Now it's possible steering troubles. All the buses will be taken off the road, and they'll be checked. Maxine Black now follows up the story that Eyewitness News first broke here last night.
Last night, Eyewitness News exclusively reported that Grumman buses were being taken off the roads because of some problems with the steering boxes and bearings. We have been trying all day to get comments from the Transit Authority and the parent Metropolitan Transportation Authority on how many buses have been pulled off the streets. No one from either agency's public affairs office would return our calls. And when we arrived at the Ulmer Park garage here in Bensonhurst, where the majority of buses are being checked out, we were kicked off the premises. Passenger safety is our major concern. Naturally, it concerns passengers, too.
Well, they're red hot, you know, they bounce all over the place. We feel all the shaking.
I gather you're not happy with them.
Yeah, they're not safe.
Most bus drivers refuse to appear on camera, but they did tell me privately that the Grummans posed a tremendous liability. Eventually, one driver did verify that. How come they're taking all of them off the streets and having them checked, the steering boxes and the bearings?
Some of them go bad. What are you going to do?
Finally, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, the MTA agreed to hold a press conference.
This is the steering shaft. This is the sleeve in which the shaft is contained. Now, at both ends of the sleeve, there is a bearing. This bearing had broken up and was beginning to wear on the shaft itself. In effect, to groove the shaft itself.
182 buses have been taken out of service and replaced with vehicles from the reserve fleet. This weekend, the entire fleet of 850 buses will be checked. The MTA says passenger safety is foremost. Maxine Black, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
And from Coney Island this afternoon, we have a story of terror. A gang of teenagers tormenting a man for 2.5 years, stealing his food, taking his welfare checks. 43-year-old John Denny tells McGee Hickey he lost 60 pounds during his ordeal, which only ended when housing police were told by other tenants to check Denny's apartment. Police have 2 suspects. They're trying to find more. They're asking Denny, why didn't you come to us for help?
I couldn't say anything to anybody.
Why?
I don't know, 'cause I thought there would be some harm or something, you know.
Mr. Denny had made the police department aware of this at an earlier date. This certainly wouldn't have gone on for so long.
Why didn't he go to police?
His fear was so overwhelming.
Denny says he tried to tell welfare authorities about his plight, but they didn't seem to understand. The gang members now face charges of grand larceny and burglary. After an absence of 1 day, pleased to welcome back our friend, Miss Tong.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
On Long Island, an accused rapist whose low bail outraged a community is back behind bars tonight. 21-year-old Floyd Bailey of Queens was brought back into district court today. He had been out on $750 bail following his arrest on kidnap and rape charges last week. He allegedly kidnapped a 14-year-old girl, raped her, and tried to force her to walk the streets as a prostitute. But her first prospective client rescued her. News reports showing Bailey's picture brought another rape victim forward, saying Bailey was her attacker as well. Today, his bail was increased to $40,000. Almost 4 years to the day that a young girl's body was found floating in a lake in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, her killer has been sentenced. He got a maximum of 30 years in prison. Bruce Hollander was a high school friend of Andrea Cella. The young girl disappeared from a local bar in November of '79. And in an Eyewitness News special report, we re-examined the Cella case. Several days after that series aired, Hollander was arrested. He was convicted. Today, he was sentenced. Hollander must serve a minimum of 15 years. His attorneys are considering an appeal. Well, reinforcements in New York's fight against crime are on the way. Sworn in on the city's west side today, 1,444 probationary officers and 125 probationary housing police officers took the oath. On the podium, new police commissioner Benjamin Ward. The new recruits now head for the police academy for training.
Well, the infamous international terrorist Carlos the Jackal is again the subject of an intense manhunt. He is blamed for the massacre of Israeli athletes at the 1972 Olympics in Munich. He is also rumored to have been hired by the Ayatollah Khomeini during the Iran hostage crisis to kill President Carter. In a letter, he now claims responsibility for 2 deadly New Year's bombings in France and one at the French Cultural Center in Tripoli, Lebanon on New Year's Day. A total of 5 people were killed in those attacks. He says those attacks were on behalf of Arab extremists. Carlos the Jackal is identified as Venezuelan-born Ilyich Ramirez Sanchez. This afternoon, Israel is supposedly close to agreeing to withdraw its soldiers from southern Lebanon. Previously, Israel had insisted on a simultaneous withdrawal of Syrian soldiers at the same time as theirs left. However, reports say the Israelis may now withdraw even if Syrian soldiers stay in Lebanon. A special American envoy, Donald Rumsfeld, is shuttling between Israel, Syria, and Lebanon, trying to arrange the troop withdrawal. The Navy flyer, released by Syria on Tuesday after a month as a prisoner of war, is having another homecoming tonight. A band, the tears of friends and fellow sailors, all greeting Lieutenant Robert Goodman and his family. The ceremonies were at Oceana Naval Air Station in Virginia. That is home port for Goodman's ship, the carrier John F. Kennedy. On Monday, Goodman will again be honored at his hometown in New Hampshire.
Reverend Jesse Jackson, who went to Syria and negotiated Goodman's release, says tonight that he will pay for the trip. That announcement after reports that Syria had picked up the tab. Some of the people who went to Syria with Jackson were in New York today, and Julie Eckert tells us they're angry that some people would try to discredit their mission.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson spent 4 days in Syria on what he called a mission of mercy. He would meet with Syrian President Assad, he would coax, he would persuade, and he would win the release of captured American Navy flyer Lieutenant Robert Goodman. As a presidential candidate, he had accomplished what President Reagan had not. But today, the Washington Post raised some questions about Reverend Jackson's trip. It reported that the Syrian government paid for Jackson's hotel bills and those of his entourage, more than $1,000 worth.
I think it is a tragedy that in the wake of this stunning achievement in foreign policy, that the News Corps becomes picky about who paid the hotel bills.
Reverend Wyatt Walker was one of the 15 people who accompanied Reverend Jackson in Syria. He told reporters today that the hotel story was true.
I looked at the memorandum to the Sheraton Damascus Hotel, and it indicated that the bills for our hotel rent should be forwarded to the Office of the Foreign Ministry.
But he said there was nothing unusual about this.
I have been on about 5 or 6 of these kinds of missions. And the protocol that usually prevails is that you are to get there. And once you land on their soil, then you become their responsibility.
We couldn't reach Jesse Jackson today for comment, but yesterday he said he didn't know the Syrians were paying the bills. He was quoted as saying, given how sensitive our mission was, we would be discredited if that were the case. So far, folks are giving him a lot of credit for what he's accomplished.
For one, he's a doer. He gets things done.
I feel this will help him in his campaign.
I've known Jesse for 20 years, and I was delighted with his success.
Let's celebrate this success. Mr. Reagan says you cannot quarrel with success. Mr. Reagan said that.
Julie Eckert, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Well, coming up just a bit later on today's 5 o'clock Eyewitness News, why we might not be able to find some of our favorite imported beers at our local grocery stores. And gourmet Bert Wolf will tell us how beer is made, and she and I will show you how to drink it.
And we have more problems for John Lindsay Jr. and our special guest today, star of the new movie Reuben, Kelly McGillis. All on today's 5 o'clock Eyewitness News.
Now, A&P saves you money every week of 1984 with warehouse-priced specials like these. Scott Paper Towels, the 119-sheet roll, is now only 59 cents. Available in assorted colors. Also, Lysol disinfectant spray in the 6-ounce can is a low $1.19. Regular or send 2. And Hunt's tomato sauce in the 8-ounce can, now 6 for 99 cents. Great tomato taste. Save money every week of this new year at A&P, the supermarket with warehouse-priced specials.
For just one more week, Bloomingdale's is going to satisfy man's every basic need with an incredible selection of basics like shirts. Now $13.95 for our own cotton blend Oxford button-down. Then there are gold toe socks at 20% off. Wool blend, winter weight, and just right for now. And save 20% on Jockey Classic whites. Shirts, briefs, shorts, all essential, all on sale. For just one more week at Bloomingdale's, it's like no other store in the world.
New York is an elegant Jaguar sedan. New York is an exciting Caribbean cruise for 2. New York is over 1,000 prizes, from a luxurious mink coat to a Sony Betamax to a jacuzzi whirlpool. It's New York Magazine's Treasures and Pleasures Sweepstakes.
And you could already be a winner.
Watch your mail for this sweepstakes envelope. Inside are your own lucky numbers that could make you the winner of a new Jaguar sedan or any of over 1,000 fabulous prizes.
Check your mail for New York Magazine Sweepstakes this week.
Chicago, home of the world's tallest building, is also home to one of the world's best restaurants, Cricket's. Tonight, we're secretly replacing the fine coffee they usually serve here with dark, sparkling Folgers crystals. Let's watch.
It's got a real full, rich flavor. Yeah. Very, very rich.
It's Folgers Instant.
What?
Oh, my goodness.
I don't believe it. It's delicious.
Excellent.
My coffee from now on, Folgers.
Folgers crystals. Coffee rich enough to be served in America's finest restaurants.
We have more good news about the country's unemployment situation today. The rate dropped another 0.2% last month. It now stands at 8.2%. Unemployment also fell last month in New York City, New York State, and in New Jersey. Heidi.
Well, here in town, there's a group of merchants who, as a whole, are pretty happy these days. They own businesses in one of our city's new hot spots, the South Street Seaport. As Mara Walensky tells us, business there is booming.
Last July, when the Rouse Development Company opened the South Street Seaport in Lower Manhattan, it looked like it was going to be a huge success for all involved, filled with wonderful shops and fabulous places to eat. There were a lot of people involved. This is the centerpiece of the Seaport, called Fulton Market. In here, owners of most of the 40 stores and stands say this year business has been pretty good. How good? Very good.
Terrific. Terrific.
On the second floor of Fulton Market, there are 23 specialty food shops displaying everything from seafood to pizza. And for the most part, those who own these stands have no complaints. Oh, they know business was better in the summer, but they say you have to give the place a chance to build up a reputation.
This is a beginning, and I think that as South Street gets to be better known for what it is, that it will be imminently successful. We feel that we've made a very good beginning here, and we're looking forward to the future.
He understood that the economics of the situation here were such that you can't do business every hour of the day. There are certain hours you do it and certain hours you don't, but we've had an excellent experience here.
Well, although many of the fast food shops here on the second floor say business has been very good, there are some shops that say business has been very bad.
We're not making money out here.
Yes, it has been rough for a couple of these stands, who say the slowdown since summer has hurt them a lot, and they say their rents are very high. Tama Davis, owner of Manhattan Chicken and Ribs, has 700 square feet and pays $10,000 a month. But she's never paid her rent, and she's been here since August.
We came in here expecting at least 50,000 people a day. It hasn't happened, and we can't afford it. We can't afford to pay these rents.
Well, the Rouse Company has tried to make things easier for those in bad straits. They've deferred rents. They've sent in consultants to help out the stands in trouble. But they say this is an adult ball game to be played by adults.
They're all businessmen, and very few people up there, in fact, none of them were not represented by counsel, did not do their own homework.
How do you let these people stay when they haven't paid rent?
We don't succeed by throwing tenants out. Every tenant deserves a chance to succeed. We know that the first winter is always the toughest.
By and large, the food stand owners here have been very pleased with the way Rouse has handled them, allowing them to pay off builders before they pay the rent.
I don't think there's a landlord in the country, no less New York City, that'll let us do that.
Mara Walensky, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
You know, I saw that pizza sign behind him there. I wonder how many tons of pizza are consumed in New York City every single day.
Tons and tons.
Unbelievable. Every place
I myself
yeah.
Pepperoni and cheese.
And the funny
extra
thing
mushrooms.
is that it's all delicious.
Always. I love pizza.
Well,
what do we have?
Barry Manilow is going back to school.
You're kidding.
What I kid you today, come on. And we'll tell you what I kid you any day. And we will tell you all about Prince Charles and Princess Diana's vacation plans, and are they thrilled about that?
And Katie Kelly will be here to review a brand new Broadway play, The Real Thing, starring Glenn Close, who also starred in The Big Chill. Coming up.
I learned how to save $11,000 on fur coats. There's a special place in New York where a $5,000 black lemon mink coat costs $3,000. A $10,000 silver fox costs $6,000. A $12,000 stone marten coat costs $7,000. If you don't stop yourself, you could save more than $11,000.
That special place is Ferrari Furs. 5th Avenue at 54th, 7th Avenue at 28th, the mall at Short Hills, and Mount Kisco.
Why the shades on? You're not out in the sunshine.
Well, look at all this shine. And it only took about half the time it usually does.
Yeah, how?
I used Ajax.
Ajax All-Purpose Cleaner saves time because you don't have to rinse. Try it on floors. Ajax cleans till the shine shines through, then dries clean without a dull film to rinse.
I like the lemony smell.
I like the shine and the time I saved. Now I can put these glasses to better use.
Ajax All-Purpose Cleaner.
The shine shines through.
Who's there?
Right now, you could be watching Still of the Night on WHT with Roy Scheider, Meryl Streep, without cable. Call 1-800-222-6700 to see New York's best movies, now in your home on WHT. When you can see great movies like this, who needs cable?
There's a fresh new feeling in Family Circle.
Family Circle shows you how to turn nutritious into delicious. Make yourself overwhelming. We've got the beauty secrets. Ready, set, stencil. It's like buying new furniture. A 32-page booklet on personal health for women only. Family Circle gives you a lot more ideas for a lot less. Only 75 cents. Check it out.
And consider yourself part of the family.
Prince Charles and Princess Di are planning a vacation, and of course they're hoping that they won't be hounded by the press. At the beginning of a ski trip in Liechtenstein next week, the royal couple has scheduled a photo session, and they hope the press will leave them alone after that. Now, when their two were on a ski trip last year, photographers used a helicopter to track them over the slopes. No privacy at all. Tom?
Well, we have news now about our favorite celebrities and people. Reportress Claudia Cohen is here. Now, please today don't say that I'm sure it doesn't apply to you, Tom Butt. You always do that to me.
Well, Tom, I hate to say this, but this does not apply to you unless you are a member of the hoity-toity Park Avenue crowd. Because that's it. You know, the very, very social types, they are reeling today because the 1984 Social Register is hot off the presses, and two very famous names have been dropped from it. The Social Register, of course, is that stuffy and, well, I think pretty silly listing of who is considered socially acceptable. Now, those who were acceptable until this past year when their behavior was deemed much too scandalous are John V. Lindsay Jr., the son of the former mayor. He was dropped because of his arrest for cocaine possession. And Cornelia Guest, who is no less than the debutante of the year. Now, she was dropped, I'm told, for saying outrageous interviews, for posing half naked, and for being overexposed in general. One celebrity is trying to change his behavior. Actor Peter Lawford has checked himself into the Betty Ford Center for Treatment of Alcoholism. Lawford is the third celebrity in the past month to seek help at the center, which is in Palm Springs. His fellow patients there include singer Johnny Cash and Lawford's old MGM co-star Elizabeth Taylor. In fact, Lawford says he was inspired to seek help there because Elizabeth had already done so. Their rooms, by the way, are just down the hall from each other, but so far he and Elizabeth have only spoken on the telephone. Barry Manilow is also interested in self-improvement. The popular singer has begun taking acting lessons. The reason? To help him with his concert performances, according to one spokesman, but also because Barry just may see a film in his future. Now, if you want to see if the lessons are working, you can catch Barry's act at the Super Bowl on January 22nd, because he's landed the plum job of belting out the national anthem.
Barry does great anthem, too, I hear.
I think it's going to be dynamite.
The Social Register. If you're in that book, what are the privileges that accrue to you?
just a certain social cachet. You know, the social register, it's really kind of outdated, silly thing, except if you happen to be in it. There are certain qualifications. Mostly, it's white, rich, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant kind of thing. It helps if your ancestors came over on the Mayflower.
Yeah.
And a certain group of people, a certain society in New York, they use it as a telephone book. It lists your addresses. It also lists the clubs that you belong to. It lists, I think, the name of your yacht or something.
Oh, boy, am I out. And what if you're not in this thing? I mean, you're not shot at sunrise or some such thing, are you?
No, but it's supposed to be a great public humiliation.
Right.
Maybe 50 years ago it was, but now it's just something that
well,
neighbors might
it's a
talk
cinch
about.
after this, Heidi. Cinch after this that you and I are never, ever
Never,
we are
ever.
lepers, right?
No, our yachts will never be named. A Broadway opening is big news in Hollywood this afternoon. With details on that and the rest of the day's entertainment news, here is Ron Hendren of Entertainment Tonight.
Here are the Friday entertainment headlines. The first Broadway opening of 1984 is The Real Thing.
You certainly don't make as much money in theater as you do if you're making a movie, and you have to commit yourself to 8 performances a week for a certain amount of time, but I love that. I think it's the discipline that is very, very healthy to get back to.
NBC tries a new comedy show tonight with some old faces.
I wanted to be able to do something new, and I didn't know what that would be, and I also thought that it was just a question of gathering the brightest people I could find.
Actor Peter Lawford joins a growing list of celebrities at an alcohol and drug abuse center. Tennis pro Billie Jean King says public knowledge of her lesbian affair has cost her $2 million. And incest becomes the subject of a TV movie.
And until you and I start taking notice and responsibility for it in some way, then it's going to, remain this huge, mysterious taboo.
We'll be reporting more on those stories. I'm Ron Hendren for Entertainment Tonight.
And that's coming up at 7:30 tonight right here on Channel 7. And here's Katie now with her review of that play that Ron just talked about. It's called The Real Thing. And as you know, it's not about a certain popular soft drink.
No,
Katie.
it isn't. I tell you, The Real Thing is a play about people looking for the real thing, which is, of course, a different thing for different people. In this case, it's love and marriage. But if it is essentially about love, its essence is life itself, because the real thing is about real life. Love, fear, suspicion, doubt, self-doubt. We meet Henry, a playwright. In the beginning, he is married to Charlotte. They have a teenage daughter, and Charlotte is a tough-minded actress. We quickly discover, though, that Henry is having an affair with Annie, another actress. She is politically committed and passionate in her beliefs. And the rest of this play explores that relationship in relation to their other relationships. Christine Baranski is wonderful as Charlotte, the first wife, lovable even in her cynicism. Glenn Close is perfect as Annie, the second wife, strong but vulnerable, standing both in the light of that first wife and the shadow of her famous playwright husband. And Jeremy Irons is terrific as that playwright, Henry, searching for the real thing. He loves 1960s pop music, Annie, and words. He is passionate about words. Fortunately, so is playwright Tom Stoppard, for words spill out of this play like jewels. Words that are used to, quote, build bridges across incomprehension and chaos. Only get the right ones in the right order. And boy, are they in the right order here. The Real Thing is a feast for word lovers. The Real Thing is the real stuff, a literate and stylish look at modern people and their modern problems. The Real Thing is from the heart and speaks to the heart, and it does so with wit and warmth. There are genuine laughs and a few tears in this play, and they come right from the real people. Playwright Tom Stoppard has indeed put the right words in the right order.
Sounds like a hit.
Oh, what a treat.
Really.
Yeah.
Travesties was a big hit, too. And also, did you do something called Jumper?
Yeah, and you know, they have a slightly different feeling. Those were a little bit more flamboyant. He's very introspective in this. But it is so incredible to hear language like that.
Yeah.
That can still be used by real people, but has a certain amount of literate briskness to it.
No, you obviously really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Okay, thanks,
and
Katie.
those actors.
He
Great.
probably watches the 5 o'clock news every day and sees how we do it here and figured, what the heck, you know, go for it.
He's used a lot of words that we've used.
Most people use the same words over and over again. Yeah, like still ahead. How many times?
Use that every day.
Wasn't it like a quarter for every time you said that? There's a good reason why you might be having a little trouble here.
Oh, good.
No, finding your favorite imported beer at the deli.
Yes, and Gourmet Brew Wolf is going to take us on a tour of a brewery. That's hard to say, in Europe. when we return.
It's beer day here.
Today at 3 o'clock, all Siemens showrooms will be closed. Doors locked to reduce prices on everything for an all-out, everything goes, $12 million wall-to-wall clearance, Siemens' biggest sale all year. Every piece of Siemens furniture will be marked down. Reduced so dramatically, the values are practically irresistible. See today's Daily News, Newsday, Westchester, New Jersey papers for incredible Siemens ads. Then shop Siemens tomorrow, 12 big hours, 10 till 10, a total clearance.
Breadcrumbs. If you think they're all alike, you should taste breadcrumbs with imported Italian Romano cheese. You'll find this delicious Pecorino Romano flavor in 4C ready-flavored breadcrumbs, along with parsley, onion, nutmeg, garlic, coriander, sage, and of course, breadcrumbs. If you think breadcrumbs are just breadcrumbs, taste 4C and taste the difference imported Italian Romano cheese makes. 4C, they're not just breadcrumbs.
If you have one night only to spend on Broadway, spend it at the Imperial Theater. Spend it with the smash hit musical DREAMGIRLS, directed by Michael Bennett. DREAMGIRLS, the winner of more 1982 Tony Awards than any other musical. The show the New York Times called soaring, chilling, explosive magic. DREAMGIRLS. Call Telecharge for tickets. 239-6200. A dazzling, glittering, triumphant blockbuster. Those words belong to one show only. DREAMGIRLS.
Is prime time ready for the show Summer Calling, son of Saturday Night Live? Get the scoop on the new show on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Then, Ted Danson talks about the controversy over his upcoming TV movie.
It is such a huge taboo. People are uncomfortable listening to what we're talking about.
Plus, Jo Beth Williams comes in out of the chill for American Dreamer.
And tune in Rock's Hottest with the latest from Big Country.
All on the next Entertainment Tonight, right after World News tonight at 7:30 tonight on Channel 7.
Well, if you're a beer drinker and you enjoy an imported brew once in a while, you might be having a difficult time finding brews on the supermarket shelves here in New York, the foreign beers. As Julie Eckert tells us now, the trouble began after the bottle bill took effect late last year.
I've noticed that Moosehead beer is missing.
It's hard to find Dos Equis and Guinness Stout and more exotic brands like that.
The big grocery stores just aren't carrying as many brands of beer as they used to. Sure, they still have Bud and Miller and Michelob, but a lot of the little guys have been kicked off the shelf.
Mostly imported beers, items such as Grolsch and St. Pauli's, Amstel. These were items that had a small following.
The culprit is the bottle law. Consumers were supposed to return bottles and cans to the stores and collect their 5-cent deposits, but the stores found they didn't have enough space for the empties.
Not only did they put a deposit on the bottles themselves, but they also put a deposit on the handling case, on the case that the bottles came in, which meant that we had to keep the case so that the amount of space necessary for each individual brand made it impossible for us just to carry them.
But don't despair. You can still find your favorite imported beers in small grocery stores.
From what I can see from the stores we serve, they're selling more of those imports because the people who used to buy them in the supermarkets are now going there and getting them. It's not, the demand for them hasn't fallen off. It's just that the number of stores carrying them have.
But even the big chain stores are planning a comeback. The key to making room for all these brands of beer is the reverse vending machine.
You'll put an empty bottle or can or plastic container into the machine, and the machine will dispense for you a nickel. The machine will then crush the bottle or can or shred the plastic and keep a record of what it was through computerization. And in that way, we will no longer need the space. So that we hope that when these reverse machines come on the marketplace, that everything will go back to normal.
But who knows if the prices will go back to normal. Since the bottle law went into effect, the price of a six-pack has gone up by $1 or more. That's a lot to swallow. I'm Julie Eckert, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Well, you know, some people think that ads and TV commercials suggest that imported beer is perhaps just a little bit better than the domestic brands. Well, is it made any differently? Bert Wolf is here now to tell us whether it is or not. Bert?
I think it is. You know, I don't drink very much alcohol. A glass of wine or a bottle of beer every couple of days is really my limit. But I'm always fascinated by the process used to make our most common foods and drinks. A while back, I went to a small factory in Europe where they make beer pretty much the way they did hundreds of years ago. Beer is our oldest alcoholic beverage. The Babylonians brewed it over 8,000 years ago. I don't know if it's true, but one history book says that the Pilgrims got off in Massachusetts instead of going on to Virginia because the Mayflower ran out of beer. You know, it was a small boat. You could only get on 2, 3 six-packs at the most. This is the Duval Brewery in Belgium, where they never run out of beer, and they make it pretty much in the old style with a double fermenting process. Barley, which was one of the first cereals cultivated by man, is put into big tanks and mixed with water. Then it's spread out in long alleys to germinate. The barley actually begins to sprout. Then it's heated in this room. The more it's heated, the more sugar in the barley caramelizes and the darker the beer is. Liquid is added and heated, and hops are added. Hops are a vine-like plant. The leaves give a refreshing bitter taste to the brew. They also act as a natural preservative. Hopped beer holds its flavor twice as long. Yeast is added and the brew ferments. Most American beers have all their yeast filtered out after this point. The Belgians leave some in. They add a touch of sugar and get a second fermentation in the bottle. Gives it a richer flavor and a fuller body. You can even see the yeast in the bottom. Beer, by the way, makes an excellent baking ingredient. Remember, it's made with yeast, so it's a natural substitute for the liquid in almost any bread recipe. And the alcohol is completely burned off by the heat of the baking. If you want to try one of these, I think they have it in Zabar's in New York is where I picked that up.
Don't open that for a while. You just shook it. I don't think that would be such a good idea. How about in the U.S., Bert? Any places here that
We're
still
seeing more
use
and
that
more
old...
places like that. There's one opening up in New York. There are a lot in California. They're little, almost boutique beer makers, people who want to make it the way they did years ago and really taste it.
Yeah, we did a story last year for the 11 o'clock program. Remember that? On New Amsterdam beer?
That's one of the places
right here in town,
I
where
was
the
talking
man
about. Yeah.
brews it as a European beer to a very special taste. I remember as a kid in Milwaukee going to the breweries and watching them make that stuff. Then
Smells good.
Oh, and then afterwards we'd always go to the little tasting room and have a little sip.
It was interesting. The Egyptians had a law. They didn't understand yeast, but they knew something was related, and there was a law that you could not make beer and bread in different houses. The beer and the bread must be made in the same building, and nobody knew why for hundreds of years. It was the yeast.
Smart rule. Smart rule.
Thanks, Bert.
Well, still ahead.
Good phrase.
There's another quarter in the pot. We'll have the latest information on what's wrong with the transit authorities' Grumman buses. These buses are in deep trouble, I'll tell you.
And a war is being fought between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, not with missiles, but with reporters. Art McFarlane with that background report next.
Planters unsalted peanuts. Is this the Riviera? More tropical punch, please. And then perhaps a dip in the pool.
Planters unsalted peanuts. So crunchy and delicious, their fresh out of the shell taste makes ordinary occasions special.
Hey, Planters unsalted peanuts, isn't that nice? To a real cute guy from your adoring fans, we love you, Frank Gifford. Frank Gifford? P.S. Give some to Don.
Life was once simple.
There was only one Diet Cola.
Diet right.
And it was good. But now I want a Diet Cola with more taste.
And no caffeine.
And no sodium.
Introducing new Diet Right. Now there's only one again.
The one with NutraSweet for better taste. The one that's caffeine-free.
And the one that's salt-free.
Everybody's got a Diet Right. It's the only one.
Tell me the truth, Sam. Does Reynolds plastic wrap really cling better than the leading brand?
Watch this. Reynolds plastic wrap and the leading brand.
Oh, the Reynolds holds its shape better.
That's the secret to Reynolds' super tight cling. But here's the real test. Wrap 2 pieces of cheese, wait 5 minutes, and see for yourself.
Seeing is believing, Sam.
Remember, for better cling, use Reynolds quality plastic wrap. The plastic wrap professionals use.
Rated R.
Now playing at a specially selected theater near you.
Now the major stories in the news this afternoon. There are new troubles with New York City's Grumman buses. First it was cracked frames on many of them, and now it's possible that there are steering problems on more than 100 of these buses. The Reverend Jesse Jackson now says he'll pay whatever bills he ran up in Syria when he went to free Navy Lieutenant Robert Goodman. Originally, Syria picked up the tab.
Among the missing again today, Soviet leader Yuri Andropov. There was another important meeting in Moscow which he did not attend. In fact, he hasn't been seen in public now since last August. The official explanation? He has a cold. Well, American journalists in Moscow have apparently been able to find out very little, if anything, about Andropov's condition or whereabouts. As you would expect, they operate within pretty narrow parameters in the Soviet Union. Art McFarlane tells us about that and about restrictions Soviet reporters face in this country.
In the Soviet Union, there is no constitutional amendment protecting freedom of the press. American reporters based in Russia can report what they want, but there are other limitations. There are, of course, a number of American journalists in Moscow. The New York Times, for example, has several stationed there. Craig Whitney spent 3 years in Moscow for the Times.
Well, you can cover news that happens in Moscow because you're pretty much allowed to do what you want when you're in Moscow. The difficulty comes in traveling around to other parts of the country. You cannot just pick up and go somewhere. I think that if the Soviets lifted their bans, we would lift all of ours in a minute. The only reason for the State Department having any list of closed areas for Soviet journalists is that the Soviets do that to our journalists.
Fyodor Shabad was also a Moscow correspondent for the Times, and he showed me a map issued by our government indicating the areas of the USSR where American journalists are not allowed.
There's some question in this country whether we should engage in this kind of game. Our country is an open society in contrast to that of the Soviet Union, and some people feel it's regrettable that we have to reciprocate.
Now, there are also areas in this country where Soviet journalists are not allowed to go, and our State Department has recently added to that list. Russian reporters cannot go into parts of Fairfield County, and they're also not allowed in Suffolk County. We talked to a Russian journalist here in New York about the new restrictions.
Oh, well, of course, I'm disappointed in this because it makes certain inconvenience.
One of the areas restricted to Russian journalists is Walt Disney World, which hardly seems like a security risk, but Mr. Satunsky indicates that the restrictions are not simply a question of security.
The question of whether there are too many or too little closed areas is not a question per se. It cannot be separated from the whole context of the relations between our countries.
And as Satunsky points out, relations between the superpowers are not very good right now, so the policy of travel restrictions against journalists and diplomats probably will not change anytime soon. Art McFarlane, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, thank you, Art. Now some of the top stories coming up on Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock with Roger and Bill. Bill Butel is now standing by in the newsroom with all the headlines. William.
Thank you, Tom. 6 o'clock tonight, we're going to have the story of a man appointed to a high-paying job in our corrections department after he resigned under fire from another city's prison system. And remember the man who got out on low bail in a rape case and then was arrested again for rape? Well, he's been implicated in yet another case, another sexual attack. We'll have details. Also, Bob Blanchard gets a bank to repay a child cheated on his savings account. And what is wrong with the dinosaur? Well, he's the famous Tyrannosaurus Rex, and scientists say there's something wrong with the way he looks. I guess there is when you look at him very closely, Tom. There is something wrong with the way he looks. Maybe that's why he's no longer around. But anyway, we'll have details at 6. Back to you now.
I was going to say, any way you look at him, Bill, he's dead, huh?
I guess so. Bony guy.
Truer words never spoken. Coming up next, our Joe Fisher to tell us how long the weekend weather is going to last.
This could last all weekend, couldn't it?
Yeah. You're right.
And just when you thought that you knew everything that there was to do in Florida, look at this here.
There's more to do.
Right. Watch lions do weird things to each other, coming up on Eyewitness News.
Hey, New York. Gold Dome gives you more than the average of the money market funds. In the last year on the same investment, Gold Dome's Golden Access account paid more. $402.50 more than those money funds. Plus, Gold Dome gives you more. Free checking, free visa, and security with FDIC insurance. So see us today to start a Gold Dome Golden Access account.
Gold Dome, your financial home.
You get more from Gold Dome.
Going to your office must be fun.
Not always.
Then let me be the grown-up.
Okay.
I'll drive you to school. After you brush with Colgate.
I love that minty taste.
Me too, and Colgate helps fight cavities.
With MFP fluoride.
Of course.
The maximum fluoride protection a toothpaste can give.
And it tastes great. Oops, I'll be late for work.
Will you still take me to school?
Colgate Regular and Winter Fresh Gel. 2 great tastes, maximum fluoride protection.
How could something that looks so funny taste so good?
Bigger on the bottom, smaller on the top. Once you get a taste, well, you can't stop.
They toast up crunchy like no other, with nooks and crannies to hold the butter. Sure are funny, all bright and sunny.
This is English hopping.
How could something that looks so funny taste so good?
Every single one is different from the other. Take one bite, you want another. Got green on the bottom, wrinkles all around.
I love that crazy crunchy sound.
The original one and only funny looking tasty cooking.
This is English hopping.
Time takes you beyond the news.
Time flies and you are there. Time cries and lets you care. You understand the world we share.
This week in Time, Pope John Paul pardons his would-be assassin, delivering to a violent and troubled world an extraordinary example of forgiveness.
Read time and understand.
You should have seen these two guys on the basketball court today. They were great, unbelievable.
We made promos today for the television
Yes,
station in which all of us play basketball, and as we get closer to the debut of this, we'll tell you more about the fun that was involved in making the promos today.
I was terrible.
We were horrible.
Spencer, Storm, and John Slattery were great.
Yeah.
Ernie was a high mediocre.
And Butler. And Butler impressed
And
me.
was terrific. I lay down during the layups. I mean, I didn't know what was going on.
You what?
You know, the layups? That's what they told me. It's the only phrase I learned today. It's a technical term.
It's not a lay down, it's a layup, okay?
Yeah, right.
Now,
What
the other day
are
here,
these?
everybody was making fun of old Tom when he said they ought to put rubber feet on telephones so that when you pull the thing up, it doesn't
And,
slide
you know,
off.
and
the
I was
phone.
disgusted that they were making light of it, Tom.
Okay. From our good friend Arnold Schumann over at Mercedes-Benz of North
kidding.
America comes a set of rubber feet to put on the telephone,
But there's
okay?
2 missing.
Well, listen,
Yeah, what happened to those two?
Mr. Schumann has them on his phone. What do I know? But he sent a set for you.
Oh, good.
And
Is this mine? Thank
No,
you.
that isn't yours.
Oh.
That's mine. Yours is upstairs in the office, and you can pick it up right after we finish here today.
But none for...
I have a set for
Ira.
Ira as well. I have 3 sets of rubber feet. And anybody who wants these, Mr. Schumann's telephone... No, I would not do that to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schumann.
Okay.
Very nice of you.
Thank you.
Perhaps you could send him a copy of the satellite picture.
Okay, all right,
He'd appreciate
Mr.
that.
Schumann, here's your satellite picture. It'll be in the mail right after we get done showing it on TV here. Yes, Mr. Schumann, your satellite picture has a cloud cover over the northeast, and that cloud cover is all a part of a front that's moving through the area right now. Going to churn out already has some light rain and drizzle, and as the temperature drops, the precipitation that drops will turn from rain to snow. And then another front's going to be moving through later on. That's weather gossip. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's talk about some weather news around the nation. Not very much about which to talk. Western Washington had some light rain today, rain and drizzle or snow in the eastern Great Lakes region and also in the Appalachians and then on through the northeast. Coldest temperature in the nation today was in Alamosa, Colorado, 9 degrees below zero, and the warmest in the country was in Brownsville, Texas. The temperature climbed up to 79 degrees today in Brownsville, Texas. Our official high temperature today was 43. Our overnight low temperature was 39 degrees. And our normal high this time of year is 39, and our normal low is 26. We had a trace of rain, and I'm so glad that we got those little shoes for the telephone, because my telephone, I was going to draw a picture of it for you, but it just slipped right out, and all that I could grab was the cord, for heaven's sakes. So thank you very much, Mr. Schumann. Our temperature right now is 41 degrees. Our relative humidity is 73%. The barometer right now is steady at 29.58 inches, and the winds are out of the west at 6 miles an hour. Our forecast for tonight calls for the skies to stay cloudy. We'll have northwest winds at 10 to 22 miles an hour and some showers or snow flurries. Low temperature will be 28 degrees. Now, tomorrow, clouds and sunshine, northwest winds at 15 to 25 miles an hour. Good clip. High only 34. Tomorrow night, mostly clear. That'll allow the temperature to slip to 24 degrees. Sunday is going to cloud up all over again, we're told. Another front moving through. And when it does, we'll have a chance on Sunday of some snow flurries. The high is 32, and it looks like Monday is going to be back to a real January and wintry, cold, cold temperature.
Ooh, okay, thanks a lot, Ira. Coming up next, our special guest today is...
Well, the special guest today is the woman who appears in the movie Reuben. She's Kelly McGillis, and she'll be coming up not quite next.
Right, you do have something else.
I do want to just get this in quickly if I can, and then we'll get on to the guest of the day. But if there's a change, I can accommodate it right here. You know, folks, this is the time of the year that all the sunbirds head south, and it's now the season in Palm Beach, Florida, which is the winter playground, Kitey, of the rich. Travel reporter Paul Ryan has been showing us around there all week, and tonight he tells us what there is to do besides lie around in the sun all day.
It's called Lion Country Safari, a 650-acre African wildlife compound where the animals roam free and the people are caged in their cars. Operations manager Tom Legato says the rules are simple.
Keep the windows up, obey the regulations. There's a ranger there to be watching, and remember, people are on the lion's food list.
I want to warn you now, before you drive the 15 miles west of West Palm Beach to get to this park, if you have a carload of kids, you'd better bring a pocket full of money. Admission for both adult and child is $8. A morning visit is best when the heat and humidity are lowest and the animals are more active. If you want to see active animals, even if you're not a gambler, spend at least one night at the dog races. The season runs from November through April, and general admission is only 50 cents.
Come on, 7! Hey, 7!
It's exciting stuff. Right up next to the rail, watching these greyhounds chasing a mechanical bone twice around the track at 40 miles per hour.
7! Hey! I wheeled it!
On the other hand, this is something I didn't find terribly exciting, but I did find hard to understand. High in Palm Beach runs through March 31st. You can get in for as little as $1. Minimum bet is $2. Finally, whatever your reason for going or whatever time of year, ride the airboat on the Everglades. You might forget Palm Beach, but you'll not forget this. In Palm Beach County, Florida, I'm Paul Ryan.
All right, that does look like fun. And let's go to Gil Hodges now and find out how to get the brochure on this exciting Florida vacation. Gil?
Yes, if you'd like a free copy of our travel guide to Palm Beach, send a stamped, self-addressed, legal-sized envelope to Eyewitness News Travel Guide, Palm Beach Edition, Post Office Box 799, Ansonia Station, New York 10023, and allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery.
All right. Thought for a second Gil might not be there.
Kind of checked out for a minute
Gil
there.
was asleep at the switch yesterday, as we
No.
know.
Oh, no. Really?
Oh, yeah, he missed the whole opening of the show yesterday.
Well,
I had to do the whole thing.
Oh,
he gets the fee
dear.
for it, too.
All right, now it's time for our special
Coming up
guest.
next,
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay,
Kelly McGillis,
good.
and she's the star of the new motion picture Reuben. She's here live as Channel 7's Eyewitness News continues for Friday afternoon. Kelly, you're going to love this bit.
Is prime time ready for the show Summer Calling, son of Saturday Night Live? Get the scoop on the new show on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Then, Ted Danson talks about the controversy over his upcoming TV movie.
It is such a huge taboo. People are uncomfortable listening to what we're talking about.
Plus, Jo Beth Williams comes in out of the chill for American Dreamer.
And tune in Rock's Hottest with the latest from Big Country.
All on the next Entertainment Tonight, right after World News tonight at 7:30 tonight on Channel 7.
In 1983, Pathmark was #1. You spent more of your food dollars with us than any other chain in the New York, New Jersey metro area. And for 1984, we're going to stay #1 with coupon values like these. Buy a half-gallon of Pathmark ice cream, get one free. Buy 1 8-ounce can of Del Monte tomato sauce, get one free. Buy a 26-ounce package of Pathmark salt, get one free. And buy a 28-ounce can of Rienzi tomatoes and get a 6-ounce can of tomato paste free. Come to Pathmark for #1 value.
You don't have to be Ben Franklin to discover great automotive savings. Now you can discover year-end savings at your Datsun dealer's Great Discovery Sale. Discover the selection of Nissan sports cars, the Pulsar NX, and the all-new 300ZX. Discover what a great deal you can make for yourself if you come in now. Discover the quality. Discover how much you can save because these cars will be in someone's driveway by this weekend. Get a great discovery deal at your nearby Datsun dealers now.
Sometimes life can be difficult and you feel like something's holding you back. When it appeared my football career was over, I was introduced to Dianetics. It restored my abilities and allowed me to finish with my 3 best years. To win in life, obviously, confidence and self-respect are necessary, but where do you find them? I recommend the book Dianetics.
Ask for Dianetics at B. Dalton's, Walden Books, or wherever paperbacks are sold.
and I'm not a house.
With us here at Channel 7 this afternoon is the actress Kelly McGillis, who has now been picked to co-star with Tom Conti in a brand new motion picture, which is called Reuben, Reuben, opening this week here in New York and nationwide. What's interesting here is that, number one, it's her first motion picture appearance, and she made this picture on holidays and weekends while attending the Juilliard School of Music here in Lincoln Center. She also appeared in New York Shakespeare Festival productions and in summer stock. Welcome to our show this afternoon, Kelly.
Hi.
How about this business of going down now to North Carolina? Was it the location?
Yeah.
How did you make this whole schedule work while you were making the picture Reuben, Reuben?
Well, I was doing a period play up here at Juilliard, and I was flying down on my weekends and on my holidays to shoot the film.
How did the actual work on the motion picture lot contrast with what you were learning at Juilliard in terms of stagecraft and acting, etc.? Were there some, you know, we always say in school there are great dissimilarities between education and the real world, so to speak. Was that sort of the case in this effort of yours?
Well, only because Juilliard doesn't train you to do film or television or anything like that. So I didn't know. I never had done anything in front of a camera. And I was very terrified by it.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah. My first day I shook so much I thought I was going to fall apart.
Really?
Oh,
Knees
yeah.
shaking and everything?
Everything. And
How about
every time I
sweat
touched
right
somebody.
here, Kel? A little sweat
No.
right there? No. What about the business of acting before the cameras? Did you have to be coached, or did your director work with you to make that happen, or did you just go out there and do it?
No, the director helped me, and everybody else who was in the film helped me a lot. Because most of the people who were in the film were also stage actors, and so any questions I had, anybody was willing, more than happy to help me.
As I remember, the difference is, like on the stage you can be big and grandiose, but in the movie you kind of, do you bring it down a little bit?
Yeah, you have to bring it down a lot. So, yeah, and I was always very nervous about bringing it down. I thought that if I was so concerned about doing everything so small that sometimes I think a lot of stuff that I didn't even read.
We showed a scene here yesterday. I'm sorry to tell you this, but Katie Kelly, our critic, didn't review this film with great favor because she doesn't like alcoholics.
Oh,
it's a little personal prejudice of hers, okay?
Okay.
But we showed a scene here yesterday of you on the train with Conti, where you're going to pay for his ticket because you were the student in his school, and it was a wonderful scene for you. I don't know which scene we have today, but let's take a look at it. This little bit of Kelly now appearing in the motion picture Reuben, Reuben. Here it comes.
Oh, no.
My God. Calvin. You all right? Calvin.
Why do you laugh now? Come on.
Just his expression on his face. I mean, that's so funny.
Do they show you rushes at the end of the day? Do you get to see them at the end of each day?
Well, you can. I went one day and I cried. Oh yeah, I kept on saying, I'm so ugly, and I kept on saying it looks like somebody smashed my face in with a brick. My profile, because I never had seen myself.
I know.
On anything
when you
or
first
heard
see
myself.
yourself on the film or the videotape and you think, oh my God, I don't look that bad.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt, and I cried. So they said, no, you can't come back anymore.
To the rushes, but you can't finish the picture.
Yeah.
Now, you grew up in Newport Beach, California, and you now consider yourself to be a New Yorker.
Well, I live
Sort of.
here.
What do you mean you live here? You're a New Yorker, Kelly. You move with the crowd, you go with the flow.
But everybody still teases me about California.
Like what? What do they do?
Oh, they ask me if I eat granola. Stuff like that. I don't know. I have my surfboard sitting in my bedroom, so I guess I will always be Californian at heart.
The reviews for you have been very, very good on this picture. Any offers now since it's come out, or is it just kind of Kelly over at the Juilliard?
Well, no, things are happening.
Well, what's happening?
Well, I don't know. I can't talk about stuff like that.
Well, what else you got going in your personal life that we might
In
be
my
interested in?
personal life, I don't know. I can't answer that either.
I don't expect you to. I thank you for coming by this afternoon, and good luck with Reuben, Reuben.
Oh,
and I know that
thank
you'll
you.
pursue your studies at the Juilliard here in New York. And again, Happy New Year, and thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Kelly McNichol, now appearing in Reuben, Reuben. Heidi has an item coming up that is truly unbelievable.
This is the story we've all been waiting for, Tom. The woman who makes people out of pantyhose. Coming up.
Monday on the morning show, Regis and Cindy welcome Gimme a Break star Nell Carter. Don't miss her golden gospel voice. That's Monday on the morning show at 9.
Homestyle Report, brought to you by Ethan Allen Galleries.
If you need serving help and you don't have extra hands, why not let your furniture work for you? A rolling cart is a great idea. It can become a portable bar. After dinner, it's the perfect dessert cart. Or it's a home office on wheels. Rolling carts make space when and where you need it. I'm Dorothy Kalins, editor of Metropolitan Home Magazine.
It's here, and it's opening to rave reviews, the newest edition of the Ethan Allen Treasury, with hundreds of full-color pages of inspiring ideas on how to decorate every room in your home. The Ethan Allen Treasury is so engrossing, people just can't keep their hands off it.
It looks terrific. How can I get one? Just go to your Ethan Allen Gallery, and you know what? What? It's free. Oh.
The Treasury can be yours free, too, when you visit your nearest Ethan Allen Gallery. No purchase required.
Here it comes. Your $88 coat spectacular at A&S.
Down coats,
wool coats, wool jackets, $15,000 for Mrs. Junior. Just $88.
Down coats,
quilted, tight, knit collars, sleek and shiny.
wool coat,
shape, flan, scarf, tweeds, wool jackets,
peacoats,
bat wings. Just $88 at A&S. Miss Gallery's pleated down coat. Just $88. Larry Levine's action tweed. Just $88. 15,000 coats and jackets. Just $88. That's the spirit at A&S. Terrific.
Who's there?
Right now, you could be watching Still of the Night on WHT with Roy Scheider, Meryl Streep, without cable. Call 1-800-222-6700 to see New York's best movies now in your home on WHT. When you can see great movies like this, who needs cable?
And finally, from our Just When You Thought You'd Seen It All department, a lady who turns pantyhose into people. The pantyhose people may not be the life of the party, but boy, do they fill up space. And not a peep out of them about watered-down drinks or the food. I guess you could call them the ultimate in cheap dates. No boring conversations here. And talk about being agreeable. Imagine somebody doing that to your face at a party. Josephine Roberts, the creator of these people, explained where she got the sheer energy for the project.
It's mostly for my husband.
Why?
I love him.
And what does your husband think of all of these?
Oh, it was his idea to begin with. That's the main thing. See, he wanted something fancy to ride around in our 1940 Packard.
Josephine says queen size is the best for the head, and of course, a natural shade is nice. Joe Namath could have told her that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. The
Okay.
pantyhose people.
Pantyhose people, right here. Never again. Monday on the 5 o'clock Eyewitness News, we have the singer, the composer, and the actor, Joey Travolta, who is John's brother. With Kaidi Tong, I'm Tom Snyder.
Now with the 6 o'clock